Susan Bonds is Community Outreach Coordinator for the Mississippi Organ Recovery Agency. She's a retired elementary school teacher and has been with MORA since September 2012. As a community outreach coordinator, she travels across the state informing people about the importance of donation by setting up tables at health fairs, hospitals, hospital events, activities, speaking to high school students, clubs, organizations, and visiting DPS stations, while also hosting events for recipients and donor families. I've just found out that she is friends with Raymond. We should not hold that against her, and grew up in Tishomingo County. This is a special interest for me. I have been a registered organ donor for years and years, and I'm not sure I understand how it all works. So I would encourage you to sign up, and she can give you more information about that, but it's very simple to sign up. And you know what? You're going to be gone. Let them use what you got left for somebody that needs it. So Susan, take over whenever you're ready.
Thank you. I have a PowerPoint. Is it showing?
Yes, ma'am, it's pulled up.
Okay, I'm going to start off with, hopefully it'll go. Our power's been going in and out here today.
Every year, many thousands of people receive the gift of life, a life-saving transplant of a heart, kidney, liver, lungs, pancreas, or intestines. And thousands more people receive corneas and other tissues that restore sight and health. Transplantation is one of the great medical advances of our time. How does it work? It all starts when someone's organ begins to fail, and that person will need a transplant to survive. A thorough evaluation is conducted at a transplant center, and if the person's a good candidate for a transplant, he or she will be put on the National Transplant Waiting List. Once a person is on the list, the wait for an organ begins. A national system matches people on the waiting list with donors. The factors considered in matching donors and recipients include blood type and body size, how sick the patient is, distance from the donor, tissue type, and length of time on the waiting list. What doesn't get taken into account? Organs are never matched based on race or gender. Income, celebrity, and social status are also never considered in matching donor organs to waiting patients. There's no telling how long the wait will take. In fact, because the waiting list is very long and there aren't enough donors available. That's why an average of 20 people on the waiting list die each day. Imagine how many we could save if we all were donors. Most organs for transplants come from deceased donors. Here's how that happens. A person comes to the hospital with a life-threatening brain injury, such as from an accident, a stroke, or lack of oxygen. The doctors work hard to save the patient's life, but sometimes nothing can be done. There's a complete, irreversible loss of brain function. The patient is clinically and legally dead. That's when being a donor can turn a time of loss into a time of hope. Because machines have kept blood containing oxygen flowing to the organs, they can be passed along. One person can give life to as many as 8 people through organ donation, and enhance the lives of 50 people or more through eye and tissue donation. But now, minutes matter. Matches must be found, and transplants must happen quickly. The hospital contacts an organ procurement organization, an OPO. OPOs manage the organ recovery process. The OPO checks the state organ donor registry. If the person is already registered as a donor, they'll inform the family. If not, they'll ask the family to authorize donation. A medical examination takes place. They check the medical and social history, And if the person is eligible to be an organ donor, the computer begins the search on the national waiting list for well-matched patients. The best matched patients for each organ are contacted by their transplant teams. This is the call that every single person on the waiting list has been hoping for. The call that could mean a second chance at life. Now the transplant happens. A surgical team recovers the organs, then corneas and other tissues. The organs are sent to the transplant hospitals where the patients and transplant teams are waiting, and the life-saving transplants take place. It will take healthy living and medications to keep the organ working well in its new home. But some wonderful person has given the most precious gift of all, the gift of life. You too can make the decision today to sign up on your state registry as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Any age is the right age, young or old. And any day is the right day to sign up as a donor. You can register through your driver's license office, or you can sign up right now, online. Remember to tell your family so they can support your wishes. More than 145 million people have already signed up, but we're all needed to save more lives. Go to organdonor.gov and sign up in your state donor registry as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov and share the gift of life.
Miss, concerning donation, who can register as a donor? In Mississippi, anyone 15 and older can register as a donor. And you can sign up at the DMV office when you renew your license, or you can sign up at registerme.org. If you have the heart on your license, you do not have to register again. And if you've already registered to be a donor and you did not do it at the DMV office, you are on the donor registry also. You do not have to sign up at the DMV. If I'm a registered donor, will it affect the medical care I receive at the hospital? No. When you get to the hospital, they do not stop and ask, am I a registered donor? They have no idea that you're a registered donor until we are contacted, and then we will go in and let them know, put it in your chart. If I have a medical condition, can I still donate? Yes. If you are cancer-free for 5 years, you can still be a donor. The only rule outs is if you have COVID right now and if you have cancer. If you have a prison tattoo, that would rule you out for tissue. Other than that, you can be a donor. Are there any age limits? No. Newborns, and in the state of Mississippi, our oldest donor was 92 and he was a liver donor. So there are no age limits. Is there a cost to being an organ, eye, or tissue donor? No. Once your loved one signs the consent form, then we take over all billing from then. Does donation affect funeral plans? No. The incision made for organ donation is just like if you was having open heart surgery. Currently, as of this morning, we have 108,000 plus men, women, and children that are awaiting a life-saving organ transplant. Every 10 minutes, a new name is added to the list. So you're on here for an hour, there's going to be 6 new names added to that list. 17 people will die today waiting. And as of this morning, we had 900 Mississippians on the wait list. As you can see, most of those are male. And this morning there was 862 out of the 900 that needed a kidney. The number one cause for kidney is stress. And I know we're all under a lot of stress. In 2020, there was 40,000 organs transplanted in the United States from 12,500 organ donors. And in Mississippi right now, we have over 1 million people who have signed up to be a donor. Thank you. From our agency in 2020, we had 284 organs that were transplanted from 98 organ donors, and we had 497 tissues recovered. And I have to tell you, in January, from the state of Mississippi, we had 40 organs transplanted. That is the most ever with our agency, and we have been here for 25 years. I'm going to show you a short video of some of our donor families, and then I'm going to take some questions. You may know some of these people on here.
There was a care specialist from Mora that looked at us, and we were sitting just like we are here, and she was sitting right there, and she says, "Have y'all thought about organ donation?"
My
I
video's
had
not
just
showing.
spent 2.5 days staring at my son in a bed, you know, even though basically he was gone, but his body was still functioning, but his brain was gone. I still was looking at him, and I looked at it and I said, "I don't want anybody cutting my baby open."
It's hard to make that decision when you're talking about your child.
You think about it a lot. When they tell you you have to be on a transplant list, you'll spend so much time saying, "God, help me be better, help me be better." When you stop and you realize that someone else is going to have to die or suffer for you to be able to be better, I couldn't in my own mind pray that prayer. Wanting the call, but not wanting the call, because you know it's a tragedy when it comes.
They asked me, would I consider letting her be a donor? And my answer automatically was yes, absolutely. I think if me and Danielle had talked about it, 100% she would want to be a donor. And it was easy for me to say yes because I knew what type of person she was. So it wasn't hard at all. I mean, it was yes from the door.
During that time, it was, we felt sad. We felt pain because we knew that what was going on at the time on the other end was that there was a family grieving and making a decision. And so that was being talked about in the room with our family.
From our tragedy that came to our family as quick as a thief in the middle of the night, it brought hope and love. We love each other.
She had always wanted to do that. We've had multiple conversations about like how if whenever she passed, she would want to donate her organs. If given the opportunity, that's something that she always wanted to do. So it was always something that I knew about long before the accident.
We had a person in our church that was in desperate need of a liver transplant. After church, we all went to our living room, and Matthew, at that time, we asked, well, what are our feelings? We'd never discussed it as a family. And Matthew said, "Hey, when I die, you can take everything I've got. Whatever you need, I mean, I won't need it where I'm going."
I say it, and I mean it like he is like truly my hero. He set an example for a lot of young people to do something that can make an impact on this world.
If we do this, we're going to have a part of her out, still out in the world.
We're blessed that we were able to do something for somebody else in our time of tragedy.
They can't physically see their son, but they can always hear their son's heart in me. I went from dying to living.
I know now that was the best decision we could have ever made.
The fact that my son saved 5 lives, he did more in 17 years than I've done in 52 years, just by one decision.
Questions?
I'll start, Susan.
Okay.
Tom Booth here. So, and I'm sorry, I had to take a phone call. I'm in the office by myself. So if you said this, forgive me, but talk a little bit about this. What are the restrictions? I mean, do you ever get to the point where your body is of no use to anyone?
Only if you have active cancer, or of course COVID right now. But I will tell you something about COVID. Mississippi tried a double lung transplant into a COVID patient who was 23, and the double lung transplant worked. So, I mean, that's a miracle right there. But if you have COVID, active cancer, or what we call a prison tattoo, then those are the only 3 things that would rule you out. A 92-year-old in Mississippi was a liver donor. So don't ever say, you know, I've got diabetes, I can't do it. You have other organs that diabetes does not affect. That, you know, tissue too, eyes. The young man on the end of the video, the couple that said that his son had done more in 17 years, his eyesight was given to a 5-year-old boy. And it's not the whole eye, it's just the contact lens that's shaved off. So his son played for Jackson Prep, and it was an opening game against the Oxford High School, and he collapsed the 3rd quarter. And he passed away from a sodium overdose from Gatorade. It was the first game of the season. He was a junior at Jackson Prep. Some more questions? I have to brag on.
Question.
Go for it. I have to brag on North Mississippi Medical Center and their affiliates. North Mississippi Medical Center is one of our top organ donor hospitals in the state. We have 3, and they're one of the top. And them and like Newport, West Point, Iuka, Amory, all of those are the top in the state for tissue donors. So a shout out to our North Mississippi Medical Center hospitals and staff. Questions?
Any more questions?
Yes, I have one more if nobody else does. So Susan, and again, if you said this while I was away for a minute, talk about how long the process takes after you die to your body's available for burial or cremation or whatever you would choose to do.
About 2, sometimes 3 days. We have a lot right now that's doing direct donation. We ask that question now, do you know of anybody that needs your loved one's organ? And so if they are a match, that could take 3 days, but normally it's all done within 2, 2.5 to 3 days.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Linda, this is Mike Miller. I may have missed this, but when you were going through the process, I remember you saying that you come in for treatment, you know, whether it's whatever got you there, that the attending people have no idea whether you're a donor or not. So tell me, if I die on the table or in the examining room, is somebody going to go ask my family? Are they going to check on my driver's license? I'm sure you covered that. I must have missed it, but I'm curious as to, they don't know when I come in. No. How will they know, and how soon afterwards?
Okay, you're going to be transported in by ambulance through the ER, and the ER is going to assess you on a scale of 1 to 10. It's called a Glasgow Coma Scale. If you are 5 and below, the ER is going to call a 1-800 number, which goes to our office, and they're going to tell us your injuries. And let's say you're on a scale of 3, and they're going to transport you up to the intensive care unit. They're going to call us back and give us your room number. More than likely, you're going to be on a ventilator that's helping you breathe. We will come up then and we will start following what the doctors and nurses are doing. And once we get the phone call, say from the 1-800 number, we're going to go to our donor registry then, and we will know if you are registered or not. And we will print off the date and the time that you registered. We will bring that with us. And when we get up to the intensive care unit, we will put that in your chart that you are a registered donor or you are not a registered donor. And we will not contact your family up there. We will not speak to them or anything until an apnea test is done. And when the doctor has pronounced you brain dead, then he will say, now you have to talk to your family. Now you need to make some end of life decisions. And that is when we come in and talk to your family. If you're registered, we will take the piece of paper showing where, the date, the time that you registered, and talk to your family then. And then the legal next of kin will sign the consent form.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I encourage everyone, if you are a registered donor, please talk to your family and let them know.
All right. Well, Susan, thank you very much. Really appreciate you being